Welcome to Rise Untold, where the stories behind the spotlight come alive. For years, American Pickers wasn't just a show about antiques. It was about chemistry, about three people who turned dusty barns and forgotten treasures into a celebration of history. At the heart of it were Mike Wolfe, Frank Fritz, and Danielle Colby. Friends, partners, a team that seemed unshakable. But in recent months, a simple video, one that Danielle shared with her husband, sparked whispers, headlines, and a response no one saw coming. A bold response from Mike Wolfe himself. And suddenly, the family fans thought they knew, felt fractured. To understand why this moment hit so hard, you have to remember what Danielle meant to the show. She wasn't just sitting behind the counter at Antique Archaeology. She was the bridge, the one who connected Mike's wild hunts with the business that kept it alive. She brought a spark, a personality, a loyalty that fans admired. And off-screen, she was more than a co-worker. To Mike, she was a trusted friend. So when Danielle shared a video online with her husband, something personal, something playful, it should have been just another post. But fans saw more. Some thought it crossed an invisible line, blurring the space between personal life and public loyalty. The comment section exploded. Was she sending a message? Was there tension behind the scenes? And that's when Mike Wolfe stepped in. Mike, usually reserved, usually the quiet leader, broke his silence. His words weren't measured in corporate politeness. They weren't the polished statements of a network executive. They were raw. They were bold. He responded directly, standing his ground, making it clear where he stood, and leaving no doubt that he had seen the video, understood the storm it caused, and wasn't going to pretend it never happened. For fans, it was shocking, because Mike rarely comments on Danielle's private life. He almost never engages in the noise of social media. And yet, this time, he did. Why? Because sometimes silence speaks like consent, and Mike wasn't ready to let silence define him. His response was not an attack, but a statement of boundaries. A reminder that what begins as a personal moment can spill into professional consequences. He defended the integrity of the show. He defended the family they had built in front of millions of viewers. And he reminded Danielle, gently but firmly, that choices carry weight, especially when the world is watching. Behind the cameras, insiders say this wasn't the first time personal lives tangled with business. The long friendship between Mike and Frank had already crumbled under pressure, with Frank's absence still haunting fans. Now, Danielle's video with her husband, innocent to some, suggestive to others, felt like another crack in the armor of what was once an unshakable team. But Danielle, true to her spirit, didn't back down either. She stood by her video, by her marriage, by her right to share her life as she wanted. And that's what made Mike's bold response echo louder. Because it wasn't just about a video. It was about identity, about loyalty, about how much of yourself you owe to the brand that built you, and how much of yourself belongs only to you. The tension raised a bigger question for fans. Can you be both fully yourself and fully part of something bigger? For years, Danielle had walked that line perfectly. She was the tattooed, bold, unapologetic heart of American Pickers. But in that moment, the balance slipped. Mike's response made it clear. He wasn't angry, but he was drawing a line. And lines, once drawn, change everything. Fans divided instantly. Some applauded Danielle, calling her brave, authentic, unwilling to censor herself for a show. Others defended Mike, saying he had carried the show on his shoulders for over a decade and had every right to protect its reputation. Social media became a battleground, not about antiques, not about history, but about loyalty, friendship, and boundaries. And in the middle stood two people who once trusted each other without question. Mike Wolfe's bold response wasn't just words. It was a declaration that even in friendships, even in families, there comes a time when you must protect the legacy you've built. It was a reminder that fame magnifies every action, every choice, every post. And for Danielle, it was a moment where private love clashed with public scrutiny. The story didn't end with an apology or reconciliation. It ended with silence. With both moving forward, each in their own way. Danielle with her husband, her art, her independent voice. Mike with his show, his mission, his resolve to keep American pickers alive. But for fans, the echo remains. That bold response still lingers as a reminder that even the strongest bonds can be tested. That friendship in the spotlight is fragile. That sometimes a single video can shift the ground beneath a decade of trust. And maybe that's the untold truth of it all. Fame doesn't just give you a platform. It gives everyone else the power to interpret, twist, and judge. And when those judgments pile up, even the closest friendships can break under the weight. Mike Wolfe's bold response wasn't just about Danielle Colby's video. It was about drawing a line in a world where lines are easily blurred. It was about protecting what mattered to him. About saying, in front of everyone, "This is who I am, and this is where I stand." And perhaps the lesson for us all is this: relationships are tested not by grand betrayals, but by the smallest moments. By a video, a word, a silence. And how we respond to those moments can define not just our friendships, but our legacies. Because if Mike and Danielle, after all they built together, could stand on opposite sides of a single choice, what does that say about the rest of us? Maybe it says that every bond, no matter how strong, needs honesty, boundaries, and respect to survive. Because without honesty, trust becomes hollow. Without boundaries, love gets lost in confusion. And without respect, even the deepest friendships collapse under their own weight. We like to believe that strong connections are indestructible, that years of loyalty, laughter, and shared struggle create something unbreakable. But the truth is simpler and harsher. Even the bonds that feel eternal can shatter if they are not nurtured. A single word said in anger, a silence when support was needed most, or even a video that carried more meaning than intended. These small cracks are often what break the strongest foundations, and maybe it says something even more powerful, that the boldest response isn't always about protecting the past, but about shaping the future. Too often we cling to what once was, to memories of better days, to the way things used to be. But life never stands still. It demands that we adapt, that we grow, that we face uncomfortable truths. Mike Wolfe's bold response wasn't just about Danielle's video, it was about refusing to let silence rewrite his story. It was about choosing the future over nostalgia, about reminding the world that integrity is worth defending, even if it comes at the cost of conflict. That is the reality of growth. Sometimes it means drawing lines where none existed before. Sometimes it means admitting that the version of us who built the past cannot always build the future. And in those moments, the response that feels harsh may actually be the most courageous. Because it takes strength to walk away from comfort. It takes vision to let go of yesterday in order to protect tomorrow. And if they could face that moment, speak their truth, and still keep moving forward, maybe you can too. Maybe it's a reminder for each of us that life will test our connections, our values, our patience. That we will all encounter moments when silence feels easier than honesty, when avoidance feels safer than confrontation. But silence, in the end, only delays the truth, and avoidance, no matter how carefully crafted, cannot protect us from reality. What truly protects us is courage, the courage to respond boldly, to define where we stand, to choose respect even when emotions run high, because moving forward doesn't mean forgetting. It means carrying the lessons, the scars, and the strength of the past into a future we choose for ourselves. And maybe that's the lesson buried in this moment between Mike Wolfe and Danielle Colby. Not that friendships fail, not that bonds break, but that in every fracture there is a chance to rebuild differently. In every bold response there is the possibility of a new beginning, and in every moment of truth there is the power to rise, stronger, clearer, and unafraid of what comes next. So if they could stand in that storm, weather the tension, and still keep moving forward, then maybe you can too.